the original sin part is funny. We can talk about that more. Just like
Oh yeah, let's go.
it's such a blatant grift, right? The idea it wouldn't work, right? Organized religion and Christianity in particular, if like, oh, you need salvation. Why? Well, if you did something bad, if you murdered somebody, or the only people who need salvation are the ones who are bad. Well, I didn't do anything. Well, no, just by being born, you are a sinner, and you need everybody. It's just a way of roping everyone in, right? You all need this. You all are going to go to hell unless you come over here and do this, which is fucked up. And it brings up so much other stuff like I love combining the concept of original sin with the fundamentalist belief of a soul at conception, right? So it's like every single miscarriage, all of these, even ones that are complete, like basically anytime pregnancy is not carried to term after the point of a zygote, right? You've got one cell. You're telling me there's a soul in there, right? At any stage after that, if that pregnancy is lost, they didn't hear about Jesus. They did not find salvation. So, how many billions upon trillions upon quadrillions of embryos are floating around in a lake of fire, completely not sentient, but suffering probably in one way or another? Because why, right? It's just
Like
that.
yeah, exactly. What was the point of putting them in that little clump of cells? And I think it is something like, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I think it's like between 40 and 50% of pregnancies end in miscarriage
Yeah,
before the mother even knows that she's pregnant,
yeah,
before your period is even due. So you will never know. I've had
yeah.
a couple of those that I was like, hey, I'm pretty certain I'm having a miscarriage, and I mean, it was right around the time of my period, so it was like, it's
Yeah.
nonsensical to think he will just
The
create.
embryo doesn't implant on the uterine lining properly or something, and they just, yeah, there's so, and like before you go back hundreds of years where nobody had any idea what was going on. In general, humanity didn't know what was going on, so definitely one person in some isolated little village had no idea what anything was about their body or anything that's happening to them. They have no idea. And then what is it called, when it gets stuck in the fallopian tube?
Oh god, okay, I also have it.
I forget what that's called, but and it just it's the fetus is growing in the fallopian tube and just kills the mother and like this kind of insane stuff. But nobody has any idea what's happening. They don't know what a miscarriage is. They don't even know like what sperm and egg are. Like they don't know anything about this stuff. But that's how most of life was for all time. And like it's just the reductio ad absurdum that you can do with these belief systems. It's just like, how can you? And like I was thinking of this stuff.
Ectopic.
Oh, ectopic, yeah, ectopic pregnancy.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Carl.
Yeah, and then you get to the hard line anti-choicers that are like, nope, even an ectopic pregnancy, beyond like rape or incest or anything like that. It's like, nope, ectopic, like that's, if God says a woman has to die, then she has to. Oh, fuck you. I don't care about your belief. I'm not gonna let some woman die for no reason when we can save her life. Like, what are you talking about? Like that's where religion gets into a territory where it's like, no, shut your mouth. This is not gonna happen. I'll throw you in jail if I have to. Like, just it should be like,
I like the way you worded it. Anti-choicers. I had not
yeah,
heard that one before, and I'm gonna try to
stick with
remember
that.
to use it,
It's exactly
because
what they are.
they're not pro-life.
They're not pro-life. They don't give a shit about life. They don't care
Yeah,
about the life and the well-being of the mother, and they don't care about the baby once it's born either. They vote against every kind of assistance program that could be other countries have free childcare and all these, like the burden on American mother. Like imagine an American single mother, you know what I mean? Like just having no help at all, and like has to figure out how to make a living, and then has this bit. It's impossible because you have a newborn baby. Like it's just crazy. And they'll vote time and time again for like no kind of any kind of social assistance of any kind. So why are you fighting so hard for this fetus to become a baby if you don't give two shits about the baby once it's alive? Give me a break. It's
Yeah, and
ridiculous.
it's funny because they try to call it a baby before it's
Yeah,
born as well, right?
that's
Instead of
another
the
tactic.
correct terminology.
They try to make people think that a 10-week-old fetus, or an embryo, we should say at that point,
Yeah,
is
that would.
a baby. Like, it's just like it's like a baby, but just like a little smaller in there. You know what I mean? No, it doesn't. There was a great viral moment that went around. When was it? And who was it? It was some evangelical politician, I think, but somebody was like, "You really think this is a person?" And he was like, "Yeah, totally." It's like, "That's a dolphin embryo, you moron!" Like,
Oh, I've seen that one.
which one
Yeah.
was that? I
Okay.
forget who he was
I
doing
can't
it to.
remember who. I
Ted
can't, but
Cruz or
I've
something. I don't
seen
remember.
the. Yeah.
But it's just that's how
Oh,
stupid these people are. Like, they just don't know anything about embryonic development. You know, it's like I mean, a 10-week-old embryo is not a human being. It's a human embryo. A human zygote, especially, certainly is not a human being. Right? We are not unicellular organisms. So no, it is. They'll say, "Oh, it becomes a human." Oh, what? Say that again. Say that one more time. It becomes a human. One more time. It becomes. Thank
human.
you. If it becomes a human, then it's not one now, or you wouldn't need the word becomes, you idiot.
But I always wonder why. Well, I'm sure there is a medical term or something for when the baby is born and separated from the mother, from the placenta. At that point, it has. I guess that would be when it becomes, a human, a baby,
No, well, that's when it
or
becomes a baby. Yes, but to be clear,
yeah.
I'm not saying that
Oh no, no, no.
it's not that it doesn't have any rights 10
Oh no,
seconds
no, no,
prior
no.
to
I
birth.
understand that. Yeah.
Whenever I have this debate with people, we end up, or I end up conceding that I don't know exactly where the line is. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle of the second trimester, whenever the nervous system is fully developed. Like, it's not that a newborn baby has rights and a fetus 10 minutes before birth does not have a right. That's not what I'm saying. We shouldn't be able to murder 35-week-old fetuses, but like a zygote is not a human. It's
Oh yeah,
one
no,
cell.
totally
I'm
not.
sorry. So unless you're completely out of your mind and you're going to try to argue that a single cell is a human, then you have to concede that at some point in embryonic development it becomes a human, right? So then I'm perfectly happy having the debate of where that is. That's fine.
No,
Yeah.
I think in that sense, medical science has definitely sort of drew the line there. I think I don't know if it's in every single state, but at least in Texas, and I know this because I was offered an abortion when I was pregnant because my fetus had really severe health issues, right? And so we
Hmm.
were offered termination. We had a cutoff of 24 weeks because
Yeah.
that is determined or at least believed that that is the point where the baby
Yeah.
could more than likely has pretty good chances of being viable
Sentience and
outside of
yes,
the
and
body.
being viable outside of the body.
Viable, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a number that works for me. You know what I mean? I think that, yeah,
Yeah.
you should not be able to have an abortion the day before you give birth. And anyone should be able to, at 10 weeks or whatever, anyone should be able to have an abortion for any goddamn reason. You know what? I don't want it. I just don't want to have a baby, and it's not a human right now, so you can't make me.
Right, yeah. And that's where the choice part is. That's where the choice part
Yeah.
is. And where people don't grasp the idea that at that point, the embryo or the fetus cannot be viable outside of the mother's body. And
Mhm.
therefore, it is part of the mother's body
Yep.
and it is dependent upon the mother. You can't have a grown adult, okay, let's say yourself. I can't force you to connect our bodies. Let's say for whatever reason I
Yeah.
need some
The
sustainability blood, whatever.
the violin player, thought experiment. Yeah, totally.
Okay, yeah, right. Like
Mhm.
I cannot force you
Yeah,
to be connected to me and sustain my life. I
right.
can't.
For 9
And
months,
so
and yeah.
even a fetus past 24 weeks, you can't force the mother. Obviously, we have ethical reasons why we don't permit abortions past that fetal
Mhm.
age, because we feel that scientifically we have determined that it's not ethical to do that. But we still have that question of whether it is also ethical to force a mother to carry that fetus for that amount of time. Way earlier in the pregnancy, you just can't justify doing that. You can't. Like, for no
Yeah.
reason. It doesn't matter what the mother's reason is. It could be, hey, I got pregnant with some random guy. I obviously, we don't
Yeah.
want people to use it as birth control. Nobody wants that, but that is not what the majority of women are doing it for. The majority of
Yeah.
women, despite what people think, are not doing it for birth control.
Yeah. I'm not ready to have a baby right now. That's a good enough reason. It's completely a good enough reason. Yeah. That's all there is to it. Yeah, the like, just phenotypically, like, if it doesn't have the morphology of a human and the anatomy of a human, it's not one. And so that's why I harp on the zygote, because it's so like, it's just so, if you think that a zygote is a human, what the hell feature, what the hell physical characteristic of a zygote are you using to determine that it's a human, other than its genome, which doesn't work because every single cell in your body has your genome in it. So if that was your criterion, and that could be your only criterion, then getting your appendix taken out is genocide, right? A cell that has the human genome in it is not a human. And so you're going to get into, it becomes it. Yes, it becomes a human. Becomes a human. It is not a human. It becomes a human.
I've heard them being called products of conception, and I like that term
Mhm.
because it covers kind of like all of the stages up until you can call it, a fetus.